In December, over in Italy, the new government declared that all cash transactions of more than 1,000 euros would be illegal. This level, they say, will be reduced progressively down to about 300 euros. Now, what does that mean? That means if you try to make a cash transaction, you can't do it. It's not like you have to track it. It will be illegal. Credit card companies now have to report all transactions by Italians, both foreign and domestic. Do you want that kind of oversight? Banks aren't letting anyone withdraw 10,000 euros in cash anymore. They are stopping it. It's not like you have to report it. They're stopping it. And Italy has now put cameras on the borders of Switzerland, and currency-sniffing dogs and closed-circuit cameras have the capability to register license plates and numbers of the owners of the cars, and they are subject to audits by the Italian tax police. This is insane on what's going on. They are trying to trap and track any remaining cash where it is in Italy. They're holding the entire country hostage. Remember, we told you about this. We told you and speculated because I saw something in the newspaper. In fact, I think it was in The Economist. The foreign minister, the British foreign minister, he was talking about buying time. And I said, what do you think that means? You're being trapped. This is why, quote, diplomats have also been told to prepare to help tens of thousands of British citizens in Eurozone countries with the consequences of a financial collapse that would leave them unable to access bank accounts or even withdraw cash. They were talking about how do we bring them back home? From Europe? You get on a train or you get on a boat? No. You won't have the ability to move around or move cash around when the collapse comes. You've got to be where you're supposed to be when it comes. By the way, did I tell you we're in Texas? You should come to Oklahoma. I hear it's great. Why do you think Obama has a new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? It's not. They're not trying to help you. Because they can put rules in to track your transactions and limit your withdrawals. That's what they're doing. That's crazy talk. That is my speculation. But that's what's happening. For your protection, of course. Does that system report to Congress? No. Nope. It's run by a technocrat. Oh, wait a minute. It's outside the framework of our constitutional republic. Why? Fundamental transformation of Italy. And if you say it can't happen, well, I'm sure that's what they said in November about Italy. And it's there. And it's coming here. Why is our president in such a hurry to get everything done? Answer is found in Italy. Different path, exact same outcome. Now, let me show you why they have to move so quickly. Because people in the world, once they figure this out, it will be too late. To get your money out, it will be too late. And the door will close quickly. It's why diamonds are going up in value. Because they're not regulated like gold is. You can have diamonds, and they're not as regulated. You don't have to report how many diamonds you purchase. The same with art. Every ounce of gold, when you buy it, they know. Now, this is a key that I want to share with you. It's what I want you to share with your sane friends. Look, if anybody ever even reports on this monologue, they will report that it's all conspiracy theories and I'm crazy and everything else. That's fine. I don't really care. Once the world figures out this one piece, it's over. This is something that I worked on over the holiday, the Christmas holiday. Yeah, Christmas with me is fun. Luckily, most of the media is so inept that they won't explain this. But when people on the whole realize what's truly happening, that spirals into collapse and all bets are off. I hesitate to say anything because, A, I know what they're going to say about me, but B, because you don't want people figuring this out, because it accelerates things. But you have to be prepared. The key to seeing what the future is in MF Global. MF Global, I believe, is just like everything else. If you understand what really is important in the MF Global story, you'll be so far ahead, you'll be able to protect yourself, your friends, your family, your neighbors, your community. But you need to understand the real story behind MF Global. It's not about Corazine. It's not about any of this stuff. And when the average person figures it out, which they will eventually, there will be a run on the banks and the stock market, and the whole game will come undone. But at that point, if you're with all of the other fish, you got a hook in your mouth, and it's too late. So let's dig in on the important stuff with MF Global. MF Global, these firms are, they're to help people invest, help investors trade public stocks and other securities. And here's what nobody has explained about MF Global. As their finances were crashing down, they actually blocked customers from their accounts for about a week. They couldn't sell. They incurred major losses. But that didn't happen with everybody. And now there's about $1 billion in cash missing. Do you see Corazine being vilified like Bernie Madoff was? No. He still, I guess, has credibility. He's dragged before Congress. He says, I don't know where the money is. So he's off the hook. End of the story of MF Global, and people move on. That's not even the beginning of the story. Should Corazine go to jail? Yeah, sure. What happened to the money? I don't know. But the most important thing that isn't being talked about is, does this affect me? No one is explaining it. So let me. Let's look at this, because really, the stock market is like gambling. Let's look at this as gambling and monopoly money, which really is what's happening. Regular people trusted MF Global with their hard-earned money. But so did Goldman Sachs and people like, J.P. Morgan. They put millions in as well. The Soroses of the world came in the end and made a nice profit. But the big banks and the institutions such as Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, they were there. And they had all their money on the table. And the big guys were all there, and so were the little guys. You put your money in, possibly. I know people who lost money at MF Global. But not everybody lost money. If you put your money in, you should be safe shielded from everyone else if you're not in on this kitty. If you have your money over here, you're not part of this table. Example, if you go to Vegas, there's everybody sitting at various gaming tables. Everybody's putting their own money at risk in one way or another. Some people are playing very small hands, and they're over here. Others are drunk, and they are bleeding money. You know the guy who's like, hit me, and you want to hit him, but he's talking to the dealer, and he's on 19, and that makes you want to hit him? If you bet crazy like this, and let's say he wins against the house, and there's a big pile of money up there, and the house is like, he's never going to win, but he wins. The house doesn't come over to you and take what you had on the table to pay the drunk guy. It doesn't happen that way. If that guy goes down, he goes down by himself. If the house goes down, they don't take your money to help pay the drunk guy. It doesn't happen. You're not held responsible for someone else's losses or his wins or the house. You're responsible for what you're doing with your hand. But that's not what happened to well over 40,000 small-time players. Not the big guys. People like you, people like me at MF Global. This is like a safety deposit box. This system should have been like a safety deposit box. Think of it this way. You go into a bank and you have money, diamonds, whatever. And you go into a bank and a safety deposit box, and you put your money in here. The bank has a key and you have a key, right? Now, there's a run on the bank. And the bank takes all the cash that they have, in the vaults and everything else, and there's a run on the bank, and they pay it all out. They give it to everybody coming in. You've seen the Jimmy Stewart movie. They pay it in. They give it all. They take all the chips, and they pay everything out. There's still people standing in line. Here's what they don't do. They don't say, hey, Bill, get the keys for Susie's safety deposit box. Let's see if Susie has anything. And then open up the safety deposit box that belongs to Susie and rifles through it and see if there's any cash there. And take it out and pay it to the big customers, the Mr. Potters of the world. That's what they don't do unless they're MF Global. They blocked people from getting into their safety deposit box, if you will, and took their valuables and gave them to J.P. Morgan, gave them to Goldman Sachs. That's what happened, really happened at MF Global. After a horrible, horrible bet on, of all things, European sovereign debt, even Mike Tyson, a guy who blew through $300 million on Siberian tigers, mansions, limos, and hookers, would say, you guys are crazy. Nobody does that. And when the euro started to decline and MF Global started going belly up, they desperately tried to cover their tracks and pay the big guys. And they actually looted the safety deposit boxes to pay off the creditors, including Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. Remember, MF Global physically stopped you, the little guy, from being able to access your account into the safety deposit box. And what's worse is that MF Global's role, that's nothing. The banking authorities who handled the firm's bankruptcy allowed this to happen. In fact, I believe changed some of the rules to allow it to happen. It's exactly the same thing that happened to the bondholders at GM. Whoever the government decides is the winner, whoever the government says, you know what, they're more important, they can't fail, they get the money in the end, and you lose. So what does that mean? So why am I telling you all of this? Why is this so important? Because there is no safe place for your money in the end of a system like this. We are now becoming the opposite of what George Washington said we were. We are a country of men and not laws. That's not what we were supposed to be. We're a country of laws and not men. But now, the more important you are to the collective, if you're more important than that guy, you win, he loses. If he's more important than you, you lose. Well, you can't build anything of trust there because there are no rules except for the big guys. When people all around the world figure this out, which they will, eventually they will pull their money in panic out of mutual funds, out of investments, out of the banks. There'll be runs on the banks. And they will try to pour their money into something of value, but by that time it's gone. There's only so much of this on the planet. By that time, they will be regulated. By that time, you won't be able, it will look like Italy. You won't be able to buy anything with cash. The system will break down. But those who get there first have a shot. And they will invest in anything of intrinsic value. That's why I think gold, that's why I think diamonds and gold and land. You know, land, farms are going through the roof. Your house may be in the toilet, but farmland has gone up. Who's buying it? Who's buying all the diamonds? Really? When you run out of those things, and when your cash is worthless, then the one who has the lead and the brass has the power. If you don't prepare yourself wisely, the best metals to invest in won't be gold and silver. They will be brass and lead.